and gentlemen, so let watch partying and all those in the hundreds. Now it's time for you to meet my friend, broadcast journalist himself, Mr. Rico. Hizon in the house. Rico, let's go further back. I want to know your childhood. Were you a square?
Hip to be square.
Or square to be hip? No, really.
I was totally so square.
Because you
I
seem
don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't curse. Everyone was telling me, Rico, you're weird. I don't even drink coffee.
but you were
And
not a health freak. You just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't
I
something that you did. That's ganun
no, I
lang.
just didn't enjoy it. I just don't like the taste of liquor. I just don't like the taste of beer, and I don't like even the smell of smoke of cigarettes. So
I just see you as such a. I've always wondered about your childhood because we've spoken together, we've broken bread together many times, even when you
yeah,
were in Singapore, and I never got to chat with you about your childhood, your upbringing. You seem like such a serious guy.
in grade school and in high school. And then I decided to work for a fast food chain. And that fast food chain just brought out, I mean, this personality in me. I was just really so square, so serious that people were saying, Rico, you're so nerdy. And then I joined this fast food chain when I was in third year high school. I met so many people, and I just became, how would you, what do they call it again? From, oh my gosh, maybe because it's so late at night already that
You
my
can't
brain is not
remember.
working. I can't even remember.
It was a fast food, or I thought fast food was a more hip, a cooler person than the opposite of who you say you were. This fast food place made you more serious?
No, it just really opened up my personality. It just made me a vibrant, happy
I
individual
see.
because I used to be cooking burgers. I was flipping burgers. I was frying fries, and then they put me over the counter and at the drive-through station, and I just really met so many people there. And wow, it was great to know uh, more people than my classmates and the things that I was doing at LaSalle Green Hills. So what I would do is I would really go out of my way, take the Love Bus from Rustan's all the way to Green Hills Shopping Center. I would work there for about 8 hours from 9 until like 5 in the afternoon. And then I would take the same bus home, and my parents' car would pick me up at Rustan's. So that's where I really gained a lot of independence. And that's where I started meeting a lot of people. I thought, oh my gosh, uh, are these just the friends that I have in LaSalle Green Hills? And then I started meeting people from Ica, from Poveda, from Assumption. Because when I was in grade school,
Okay.
first year and second year and third year high school, I didn't even attend any parties. I was just going from home to school. I was a very active member of the student council. I was the president of the Forensics Guild, the debating club. Yeah, I was just so immersed
Okay.
in
This I believe.
school
That
extracurricular
is
activities.
that's how I see you. I see you as this bookworm, not so street smart yet still very sociable because you're really good. You're really good with people. When did you know you had this talent of interviewing people, of like being an anchor person?
You know what? My mom, who passed away in 2013, would watch a lot of news on TV in Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 4. And I would always sit beside her. And I always tried to emulate that anchor, like Bong Lapira and Jose Mariveles. I would like sit down and say, I'm Rico Hizon, and this is the news tonight. And I also wanted to become a reporter.
Really?
And yeah, so this is my communication skills was enhanced when I joined a lot of these public speaking competitions, like big, like like the declamation contests, the extemporaneous competitions. I would compete in school, interscholastic competitions, and that's what really improved my communication skills when I was in grade school and in high school. So, and then after that, I joined this fast food chain. I became more friendly. I became more open and more independent. And I think that all put together formed this personality that I have today. And of course, and in college, I just basically continued what I was doing in grade school and high school. I was
Right,
a very active member of the student body
right,
and
right.
the debating club and the communication art society.
Now, walk us through this. Now, let's fast forward. You're going. You're a newscaster. Is it the right term? Newscaster, an anchor.
Broadcast journalist.
Okay. What was it what was it in Channel 7 days?
Yes, that was right.
Still.
It was a newscaster, because a newscaster is someone who just reads the news.
Okay.
But now everyone has been transformed and morphed into a broadcast journalist. So a broadcast journalist is someone who eats, breathes, and lives news. So you're not just in the studio reading what's in front of the teleprompter or what's written for you, but you also are involved in informing the news, going
Right.
out, reporting the news. And when you get back into the newsroom, write the news, prepping for your own interviews, researching for for everything that you do before you go on air. So now
Wow.
it is a complete package. You're a broadcast journalist, not anymore a
A
newscaster.
newscaster. I didn't know that. I really thought that you were just reading the news. But back in the 80s, 98 in Channel 7, when you were before you moved to Singapore, became who you are today. Because really, when I saw you in Singapore, and I didn't see you in Singapore while I was in Singapore, I was in
Yeah.
another country watching
Yeah.
BBC News, and I saw
Yes.
Rico Hizon. I mean, ask anyone who was around me. I was jumping on the bed. I was so no, no,
Thank
really,
you.
honest to goodness, Rico. I was almost in tears. I said, I know that guy. I know he's Filipino. No one would believe that you're Filipino. They thought you were Chinese, Singaporean,
Correct.
Malaysian.
Yeah.
But I was just amazed that you were able to fit in with the rest of them, and the news that you deliver. And again, you're not reading it, but the way you deliver the news is in a way that, like, if I was a singer, like when you see me sing, you go, "Oh, that's Martin." I
Yes.
can tell it's Rico Hizon. You're not
Uh-huh.
trying to be a Chris Cuomo on CNN, or you're not trying to be someone on Fox News. You're not trying to be like anyone else. You're
That's
still
right.
Rico Hizon, which means you got the gig because of you, not because you
Yes.
could read the news, correct?
Yes, I was truly blessed. So when I moved from CNBC and I was called by BBC News, I said, wait a minute, this is the British Broadcasting Corporation. Do you
Yes.
really want me? Listen to me. Do I have a tinge of the British accent?
Accent.
Absolutely not. So they told me, Rico, we like your accent. It's very neutral. They gave it a term, and they said it was pan-Asian.
Pan-Asian.
Pan-Asian. So it's
The
very
Hizon.
neutral. It's not British, it's not American, it's not Australian or some kind of accent. It is a neutral accent that everyone can understand. I said,
Yes.
wow, that's great. And they said, it's not, apart from your accent, it's also your presenting style. You bring life to business and financial news. You make it sound like it's sports, and
Yes.
you bring negative positivity out of negative news.
Negativity.
Yeah. So I said, wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear, and
So I hit
I'm
it.
glad.
I
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head then, because I could
Yes,
see
absolutely.
I could see like how you would hear in a singer's voice that he on the radio or on whatever on your when you're listening to Spotify or whatever, you know who that singer is. I know when it's you. Now,
Mhm.
can you tell us how has news evolved? I mean, even before the COVID-19 news, even before that, how has news broadcasting and telling the news and giving the news, has it changed since the 1988s?
Oh, absolutely. Because way back in the 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s, news was very segmented. It was just half an hour. You would have the news at 6:30 and the news at 10:30. But
Hmm.
now you already have the cable news channels, you have the 24-hour news networks. So news is part of our lives now. I mean, everybody wants to be updated with the latest
Yes.
developments across the board, whether it be in politics, whether it be in sports, in art and culture, and entertainment. Everybody wants to know the chismis about Martin Nievera. Everyone wants to know the chismis about Gary and Martin, the rivalry, right? Until now, everyone still talks about that.
Weird, right? No
So
one has moved on. Yes, I know.
that's true. I have. I'm sorry, Martin. I haven't moved on, even though I see you and then Mugari having this very strong friendship. I feel
Hmm.
like underneath there's still that rivalry between these two concert
Chismoso pala si
performers.
Rico Hizon, ah. Chismoso
I
pala.
am chismoso. I love gossip. And when I go to parties, when I go to gatherings, that's the first thing they ask me, what's the latest chismis in politics or in entertainment? And
How
I
do you
love
answer?
to
You
yeah,
answer
I
it?
tell them. Yeah, I dish out all the latest chismis, but I said, hey guys, this is off the record. This is
Mm.
off the record.
And you know, when
Yes.
you say that, that the more they'll listen,
Yeah, the more the
right?
listen. That's
Right?
right.
Now, let me ask you this. How hard is it to keep Rico Hizon's opinion out of the conversation, out of what you're reporting? How do you stay, you don't have, because you're not allowed to give an opinion, even a
No.
facial expression. I could never do the news. I go, yeah,
Yes.
whatever. You can't do that, right? How do you do that? Is there a training for that?
No, I think what's really important, Martin, is when you do interviews, like I've interviewed you several times, is that I think you just have to be objective. You have to be balanced, you have to be fair, and you have to be accurate. And as an anchor, as a broadcast journalist, it's not like we know more than the guest. You
Right.
basically just ask the questions, and if the guest does not answer the question, then you ask it again.
Mm.
But it's not like you know more than the guest because your guest knows more than you. You learn from the guest. That's why I always
Mm.
tell aspiring broadcast journalists that they should always be objective and fair in all the questions that they ask, and they should never really sound off their opinion. Because once you sound off your
Sure.
opinion, there you go. You start seeing the trolls.
Hmm.
I mean, everyone now is so
Hmm.
sensitive about what everyone and anyone is saying
Yes.
in media.
Do you find yourself having to say things like, for instance, you're talking to a world leader? Do you have
Mm.
to really watch your tone? Do you really have to, are you taught, or do you self-teach yourself and say, whatever you say, don't upset this person. Make this person feel special because he or she is a world. I mean, do you have to do that
Are
with
you, I
world
mean,
leaders?
I mean, in terms, are you intimidated? I think you just have to be. I think you just have to play it cool. I mean, when you're in front of, let's say, a President Bill Clinton or a Mahathir Mohamad or the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the President of Indonesia. I mean, you just have to, stay cool. You have to ask the right questions and then follow up with the right questions. You have to keep on listening to what they're saying, so at least you can have a intelligent, free flowing conversation with that international personality.
Right.
So, and you always have to do your homework. I always tell people who want to become news reporters or or news anchors is that you have to continue reading every day. Like until today, I'm still learning. I'm still a university student, maybe learning my master's or my PhD, because tomorrow every day is a learning process.
Right.
I'm learning from you, Martin. I'm learning from all my guests who I interview every day about unfolding developments from
Right.
COVID-19. Let's say what's happening in press freedom or ABS-CBN, or what's happening. If indeed we're coming up with a vaccine for this coronavirus pandemic, we just have to keep on learning, and we
Sure.
have to read constantly. Me, I always tell them, if at that time, I would always read broadsheets from the first page to the opinion page, all the way up to the sports page, because you have to be always adept across all kinds of topics, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Now, do you have a favorite interview? Never mind the one we had. I mean, never mind me.
Well, I was about to say, my interviews with you have always been at the top of the list.
No, really. Who was the one like you were like a fan? Sitting across from you is this person you can't believe you're speaking to.
For sure, President Bill Clinton. He was, for
Wow.
me, the best interview I've ever had, especially when I met him in a global event called the Clinton Global Initiative in Hong Kong and in New York. I mean, he just basically, even before the interview, he held my hand and he said, "Rico, it's wonderful to really meet you. Whenever I'm here in Asia, I watch your program." And my mouth was like,
Oh. Wow.
and then he just made me feel at home. I think that's the most important thing, is that the
Sure.
guest and the interviewee and the interviewer just have to make each other feel at home. So they have a very free-flowing, intelligent interview.
Who do you want to interview that you have not interviewed yet?
President Donald Trump.
And what would you ask him besides, what were you thinking? No, what would you ask him?
I would ask him, what are your plans for the United States in terms of this COVID-19 pandemic? It seems like there is no direction on how this whole situation will be resolved in the United States. What's the real score? What's really going to happen?
Right.
Because a lot of people right now in the States have died because of this health crisis.
Right.
And there seems to be no certainty if the lockdown will be lifted, or if the lockdown will continue. Different states have different ways of doing things.
Right.
And of course, I'll ask him, what chances do you have of re-election this coming November against the Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden? And I would just love to see his reaction.
What if he says, hey, you? What if he says you? Oh, no, you're fake. How will you handle that?
How would I handle that? I would just continue to ask him questions. I think we should not be, as reporters and as broadcast journalists, we should never be intimidated. If he points a finger at me and says, no, next, I'll just continue to ask the questions. And if he doesn't
Really?
answer them, then I'll just ask him another question.
Wow.
Until he pays attention to me.
Now, are you happy to be home?
I'm happy to be home after 25 years, Martin. After 25 years, Melanie, my wife, and Migo are also glad to be home. At least we can be with family. Way back in 1995, when I spoke with my dad and I told him I was moving to CNBC in Hong Kong at the time, he said, "Okay, Rico, please, I'm going to allow you to live your dream, but can you just live out your dream of being a global news anchor for maybe 3 years or maybe even 5 years?" So I said, "Okay, Daddy, let's see." And then, of course, after 3.5 years, I got married to Melanie, and then we moved to Singapore. We moved to Singapore, and we had a good life there. And then when I reached my fifth year, on my seventh year out of the Philippines, I joined the BBC, and it's like, woo! It's a dream come true to join one of the world's most
That's
respected
right.
news networks. So 5 years became 7 years, it became 15, it became 20, and then 25 years. And of course, Martin, you were at my dad's 90th birthday celebration. Thank you so much.
Did you
I will
know
be
that?
forever
Yeah.
indebted. You sang songs for him. He was 90 years old at the time, and I was still enjoying my life, my career at the BBC. And then afterwards, I realized, and then my sister told me that he fell a few times. And I said, oh, most probably this is the right time to come home. So he turned 92 last March. And, Melanie and I were deciding maybe it's really time to come home, because Melanie's dad is also not getting any younger. He's in his mid 70s. So we decided to come home, and yeah, we're spending more time with my parents and with my father-in-law.
It must
There's
be so nice. It must be so nice to be home. Another night, I don't know if this is nice, but before the COVID-19 virus, we would always really depend on broadcast journalists like yourself to
Yes.
give us the news. Good news, the bad news, the straight news, the fair news, whatever. But now you have become somewhat, if not a major part of the frontliners. You yourself have to deliver some painful numbers that you've never
Yes.
seen before. You have facts and figures about a demon, a bad person, a bad virus that is, an enemy that we cannot see. Yet,
That's right.
you and the likes of you have to be out there to give us the information, or we can't go forward with our lives. Is that a big responsibility? Do you feel it the way I feel it for you?
Yes, it is. It is, Martin, because you know what? These are very challenging times. And, as you mentioned, we are fighting an unseen and an unpredictable enemy. While our brave frontliners, the healthcare workers, the military, and everyone are there fighting it for us. But of course, we in the media also have a vital role, in this response to the COVID-19. And we face a different battle. We have to fight the rumors and the misinformation. So we have to keep spreading the right facts to empower people with information that they need. That's why I always start the show with news that you can use and news that you can trust. And I think that is very important that we relay, the facts, not spread, misinformation or sensationalize the news. That's why whenever we report in terms of the number of infections, we always report it to the last. We don't basically round it off. Even the number of recoveries, if it's let's say 7,888, we give the exact number. And for the number of those who passed away, we also give the exact number, because those are the facts. And that is the most important thing.
No candy coating whatsoever.
Yes, no candy coating.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's say I handed you now the latest news. Okay, I want you to deliver the news. Okay, look at the camera, and I want you to deliver the news. And the news is this: they have found a vaccine for the COVID-19 virus. How would you deliver amazing news? Let's see it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rico Hizon, and we have breaking news this evening. Pharmaceutical company has discovered a vaccine for the COVID-19. And this will be manufactured by this pharmaceutical company. And we do hope it can be distributed worldwide so we can be back to our normal lives. So I would like to repeat that. Breaking news: a vaccine has been found for the coronavirus COVID-19. We will have more details about this vaccine as the developments unfold.
God. I love it. Rico,
Stay
thank
calm.
you.
You have to keep calm.
Stay calm and don't celebrate yet, right?
Yes,
If that were
yes.
me, I would be crying. I would be saying, "Yeah, there's a vaccine that we made, and everyone
You'll
can
be
have it."
you'll be finally out of your house and you'll be able to perform again on the big stage, Martin.
Do
I'm
you
looking
believe?
forward once again to that day.
Do you believe that day is coming?
That day will come. That day will come when we have a vaccine. But for now, we are enjoying your daily programs on Facebook. Melanie, Migo, and
Rico,
myself, every night we enjoy your show.
you send my love to Melanie and Migo and let them know that Tito Martin is just a few feet away. But when that comes, I will look for him with the breaking good news that you will give to everybody. Rico, thank you so much for your
Martin.
time. I'm going to have to ask, I don't know if I have to break your arm, but I don't know if you've ever had this request before on any news network that you've been on, but would you sing with me?
Absolutely. I will sing with you, Martin. Whenever I attend your concerts, you always ask me to sing, but I
Yes,
keep on forgetting the lyrics. But this time around,
that's
I will
okay.
sing with you. I will sing with you and remember the lyrics. No senior moments.
Let's find out if there will be a senior moment with Rico Hizon in the house. Thank you, Rico.
Thank you, Martin, the
You
concert
rock, man.
king.